Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Izzy. Today I'm going to be doing my makeup and telling you guys a lovely tale. All right, let's get started. All right, so today's video is actually going to be the first in a series about all the craziest and funniest roommates I have had over the years. When I was a kid, my parents owned a bed and breakfast, and now my mom rents out rooms in her house to make a little bit of extra money. So I have lived with plenty weird people over the years. Today's story is going to introduce us to a gentleman who we will call Robbie. When I met Robbie, he was late 40s, maybe early 50s. He was a very short and slender man and had the smallest feet I had ever seen on a guy, or really an adult in general, actually. He loved to wear those like flare leg pants with the designs on the pockets, you know, the ones that were popular for women in like the early 2000s, except his were more like capris because they were way too short. What's the word for that? High waters. Yeah. And I know I'm making him sound like a huge dork, but he really wasn't that bad. He had this really soft, like almost soothing voice to the point where the first time I heard him yell, I ran downstairs because I thought there was some random person like in my house or something, because I was positive this deep, gravelly, angry voice I was hearing could not possibly come out of the sweet, tiny little Robbie that I knew. He was part of a family that pretty much everybody knows locally. They've lived in the same area forever, and most of them have been at jail at one point of their lives or another. So several years ago, Robbie was in prison, like many a family member before him, and after him for that matter. And now, according to him, back then, if you weren't on the first or second floor of the prison, there was a possibility that you might have a window in your cell. Most prisoners actually didn't want a room with a window, simply because it made the room just a little bit colder. It's not like you had anything good to look at, and you couldn't open it. There were metal bars on it. One night, it was raining really terrible. It was the middle of a thunderstorm, and Robbie had gotten the metal bars off of his window. He didn't say much about how he did that. I personally like to picture him with like a nail file going at it bit by bit, day by day for years, like Shawshank Redemption style, until he finally like sawed all the way through the metal bars. He stole a screwdriver to unscrew the like plexiglass panel that was like the window itself. They didn't use glass because prisoners, I guess. Now, for most prisoners, even if they did all of that, they wouldn't be able to fit through the window. But Robbie's small stature sure came in handy for him that night. And he shimmied right on through that little hole, jumping 4 stories to the ground, immediately breaking his femur on the impact so badly that the bone was sticking through his skin. He was bleeding so badly that he thought he may have nicked his femoral artery, and it hurt so bad he felt like he was being electrocuted or like he had lightning running through his body. But he had already made it that far, and he wasn't stopping at this point. He sees the 15-foot tall barbed wire fence in the distance, although he can barely see, the rain is pouring down so hard, and he just starts running, or running as best he can with a completely broken femur, that is. As he approaches the fence, he can't tell if it's the thunder in the distance or if the guards are shooting at him, but he gets to the top, the barbed wire tearing apart the flesh on his hands in so much pain, but he jumps to the other side and keeps on going until he can no longer see the prison. At this point, though, he's pretty sure that he has epically screwed up. He's pretty sure that he's either going to bleed to death or die from shock, or he's just going to get caught. He's still wearing his prison clothes, and he's soaked in blood. That's not exactly something that if you saw it on the road, you would just ignore and keep going, you know what I mean? But by the grace of the gods, he makes it several hours away to his house, gets in his car, and then drives another several hours to get 2 states over to go to the hospital, because he sure couldn't go to a hospital in his own state while they're looking for an escaped prisoner who matches his description. Wouldn't really work very well. But boom, he sure did it. Successful prison break. Now, the first time I heard that story, I was pretty skeptical. I didn't really believe it. A lot of people wouldn't, right? But he did have a scar on his femur that seemed pretty gnarly and looked like it could be consistent with a bone sticking out of it. But a broken leg doesn't necessarily mean the story's true, right? However, multiple people have assured me that it is the truth. I really thought that he just watched too many Prison Break movies, honestly, at first. And he was on the run for several years, but he did eventually get caught and he had to serve the rest of his sentence. Still makes for a pretty cool story though, right? After this prison break thing, but before Rob lived with me, he was actually a freaking millionaire. He owned his own construction company in Georgia. He had a massive house, a beautiful wife, a family. He was just doing really well for himself. However, one particularly nasty divorce and several bad lifestyle choices later, Rob was living in our basement and was pretty broke. Could you imagine being a millionaire at one point, having all this stuff, and then going to living in someone's basement and having like $100 to your name? That would really suck. Oh. So since he no longer had his construction company, Rob had to be creative about where his income came from. Instead of getting, you know, like a job like normal people, he made money by robbing vending machines, change machines, like the kind you would find outside of a car wash or in a laundromat. And I know that sounds pretty petty, and that's because it definitely is, but according to him, he made pretty good money doing so. So one day, Robbie comes to my boyfriend, who we will call Thad, and he offers him $1,000 to drive him to New York and to stay for a week. So Thad was out of work at the time. He was in between jobs, so he really didn't ask any questions, and he packed his bags and off they went. Robbie didn't have a license, so that's why he needed Thad to drive. They were in Robbie's mom's car, and his mom also tagged along. So once they got about halfway to New York, Robbie tells Thad the plan that he's going to be, you know, robbing these change machines, and he just wants Thad to drive. Now, Thad is like the anxious, kind of quiet type. He definitely doesn't want to do anything bad or that's going to get him in trouble, so he absolutely started freaking out at this point. He's texting me saying he wants to come home, but he's in a car that's not his. He can't just really turn around. They're begging him to stay. And at the end of the day, he really kind of needed this $1,000. Robbie assured him that he wouldn't be breaking the law. He just needed someone with a license to drive. And that's something I always found funny. It's like you're already breaking the law by robbing people and companies. So why does it make a difference if you have a license or not? I mean, I guess thanks for doing one thing right, but like, what? It just struck me as odd. So on day one of their trip, Robbie becomes really like ill, and so he insists that they need to stop at like a gas station or something to get a half gallon of coffee creamer because it has potassium, and the potassium will make him not sick anymore. Has anyone heard of that? Because I don't think that's a thing. Does coffee creamer even have potassium in it? Wouldn't it make a lot more sense if you want potassium to like eat a banana or some lima beans? But anyway, he chugs the whole freaking thing and then proceeds to puke it all over the inside of his mom's car with Thad and everybody in the car. But he did say that he felt so much better immediately after puking and that the coffee creamer helped. So maybe he's onto something. I don't know. Weird. And on day two, Rob was having a real hankering for some female companionship. Him, Thad, and his mother stop at a truck stop, and he tells Thad to be on the lookout for ladies of the night. Robbie notices two girls in a truck and their heads are kind of down, so he decides that these women must be sex workers. So he approaches them and offers them $200 if they will render their services. Now mind you, this $200 was everything they had made so far. The two young ladies agree and they instruct Robbie to come with them to a hotel. So Robbie is very excited at this point that he found someone to fulfill his desires, and he tells Thad and his mom that he will be right back in to watch the car. I would feel really weird about openly talking about getting the services of a prostitute with my mom, but I guess they just had that kind of open relationship or whatever. I don't know. However, when they get to the hotel, the two girls take his $200 and run inside, and they never come back out, stealing his 200 bucks. Honestly, what I think is that the girls probably weren't even sex workers to begin with, and since he just assumed, they taught him a lesson. I don't know that for a fact, I'm just guessing, but that's why you don't just assume that women are sex workers when you have no idea. So now he's lost all their money. They barely even have enough gas to get to the next place they're going to rob. And they have to sleep in their car that night, thanks to him. And mind you, they're in Syracuse, New York in the winter. So it is freaking cold. Thad was so upset about that. On day 3, their bad luck continues, and he breaks the little tool that he had been using to break into these machines. The tool was specifically made for this. They're actually not even hard to come by, which is odd to me. But anyway, so what would normally take him just a couple seconds to pop the lock open now took anywhere from 10 to 30 minutes and was super loud. He was literally just taking like a drill and a crowbar and a hammer and just trying to bash things open. Needless to say, this would catch a lot of attention, so most of the time now they just had to abort mission. At one point, they were trying to rob money at a laundromat. The janitor catches them on and was trying to call the police, and they had to hightail it to the car and drive away. Just what a mess. And because of that, they played that footage on the news, one of those have you seen these people type things. They were on the news, in the papers, just all over the place, and this really scares Thad. Again, he does not want to get in trouble at all, and it kind of scares Robbie too. So on day 5, they decide to kind of cut their losses and go home, but they did not choose to do this fast enough, because they got pulled over and got arrested. And to make a short story shorter, Rob ended up going back to jail. Oh. However, if you think that is the end of the story, you are mistaken. This next part actually may be the craziest part or the best part of the story. So about 6 months to a year later, I'm bad with time, Rob gets out of prison again. And around this same time, this gentleman named Jimmy starts hanging around at the house. He didn't live there, but he was there basically all the time, or a lot. And I started to notice that every time I would open like my bedroom door, my bathroom door, Jimmy would just kind of be like lurking there. But I just kind of chalked it up to like him being awkward or whatever and just not knowing what to do with himself at the house. However, one day, I guess he left his phone at the house and Robbie finds it. So he did what many of us would do, even though some of us may not admit it, but he went straight to Jimmy's camera roll. Now, what he found was absolutely shocking. Jimmy had been taking hundreds of videos and pictures of me and my mom in various stages of getting dressed, going to the bathroom, taking a shower, sleeping, just really pervy, just gross stuff that we certainly did not consent to. And there were so freaking many of them. And that's why he was always at my door, at my bathroom. I really, in retrospect, should have known something was up. But I forgot to mention that Robbie was like hopelessly in love with my mother. Side note, actually, a lot of guys are like hopelessly in love with my mother, which I really don't get. I mean, like, yeah, she's like a extremely lovable woman, but like, there's so many people that are like obsessed with her. It's weird, honestly. It's really weird. Anyway, that's not what we're talking about. So the reason I mentioned that is because it really pissed Robbie off that Jimmy was taking pictures of this, of the woman that he loved and her daughter. So Robbie breaks the phone. I mean, he like bashed it into little pieces. He literally like ripped it apart like it was a piece of paper in his hand. I mean, he obliterated the thing. And obviously, Jimmy was no longer allowed at our house. But as fate would have it, Jimmy and Robbie had the same primary care doctor. So I guess they had an appointment on the same day and they run into each other. So at first, Robbie just doesn't say anything to Jimmy. He's trying to stay out of trouble or whatever. I'm pretty sure he's on probation at the time. Whatever. But Jimmy makes a comment to Robbie asking him when he's going to replace the phone that he destroyed. Now, this is something I don't get. Obviously, he knows he's in the wrong. So why make a comment like that? You know what I mean? Yeah, you broke your phone, but you did a way worse thing. And also, while we're talking about this, if you're going to be taking pictures like that of somebody, how are you going to leave your phone at that person's house? Like, how does it even happen? Secondly, if you're going to be taking pictures like that, have a password on your phone. Like, are you an idiot? I mean, clearly he's an idiot for doing that to begin with. I mean, come on, it's freaking 2020. Whatever you're interested in, I'm sure there's a way to do it legally, consensually, and there's no reason to be doing anything to non-consenting people. You know what I mean? Just ridiculous. Just don't be that guy. But I guess he just had to be Mr. Big and Bad and make a comment to Robbie. So Robbie just, kind of turns the other cheek, doesn't make a comment, trying to be the bigger man, right? But Jimmy being Jimmy, he has to make another comment saying, oh yeah, you better walk away. Like we're in like a bad action film or something. But again, Rob just quietly walks out of the building to his car, looking to most people like he just got fed up and was walking away. However, Rob was actually pulling a baseball bat out of his car and continues to bash the windows, the headlights, and just go to town on Jimmy's Mustang. Which I have another video which mentions bashing the windows out of someone's Mustang, so maybe that's like a theme in my life. Or maybe crappy people just drive Mustangs. I don't know, but I will link that video in the description or up here somewhere. But so people in the doctor's office see this and they come running outside. Jimmy, trying to be the badass, I guess, says, oh man, don't mess up my car. Fight me like a man. So Robbie kind of took him up on this offer and just starts wailing on Jimmy with this baseball bat. He hit him in the stomach so hard that he pooped himself. He broke his legs in multiple places, dislocated his shoulder, and just kept hitting him in the head multiple times, giving Jimmy a concussion, and did not stop until people from the doctor's office actually pulled Robbie off of Jimmy. I mean, it was terrible. So obviously he gets arrested again, and they were trying to charge Robbie with attempted murder. I mean, and that's kind of what it was when you think about it. If you're hitting someone in the head with a baseball bat, that's not trying to hurt them, that's trying to kill them. So when it came time for court, Jimmy came in a wheelchair with a sling, a neck brace on, all black and blue, just really not doing Robbie any favors. He was already a felon. He had been to jail multiple times. He was an habitual offender. It just didn't look good for him. It seemed like he was going to go to jail for a long, long time. But somehow he only ended up getting, I believe, 3 to 5 years in prison. Now, I just want to say that I'm not condoning any of the things that Rob has done. Stealing, robbing people, beating people, escaping prison, none of those things. I'm just telling the story, so please do not think that I support any of these things. Don't shoot the messenger type deal. Or what Jimmy did, for that matter. I definitely don't support that. Now, when I first heard about Robbie beating Jimmy up, I'm not gonna lie, at first I was like kind of happy about it because I felt like what he did to me was so wrong and that he deserved some like bad karma in his life. However, when I learned how bad it was, I don't think anyone deserves to be beaten like that. So in a weird way, I felt like he did it for me and my mom, and I guess he did. I just think he took it way too far. Do you see what I'm saying with that? So I think he gets out of jail soon, and I'm sure he'll do lots more crazy things when he gets out. And that is the tale of my former millionaire, prison escapee, beat a man with a baseball bat for the honor of me and my mom roommate. And this is the finished makeup look. I hope you like it. You like it. You like it. You like it. If you liked today's video or like to see more content like this, or just like to see more of me, please do not forget to like and subscribe. It helps the video reach more people. I would really appreciate it. And as always, I will see you next week. Bye! Also, today is Christmas. While I am recording this, I know it's not going to be Christmas when you see it, but I just want to say Merry Christmas to everyone out there who celebrates, and to those of you who don't, I hope you're having a wonderful day.